Mafia boss
Look,
accidentally runs
I know
into
this
his
is
7
difficult,
months
but
heavily
we need to
pregnant
figure
ex
this out
working
before
in
the
a,
baby
even at
arrives.
night, the street's breath. Lanterns burned low like tired stars. Stone towers watched in silence. Above them all stood the Black Citadel, where the king ruled, not with warmth but with fear, law, and old magic. King Lucian Vale was known by many names. Some called him the King of Ash, because wherever he claimed power, the past was burned away. Others whispered that he was cursed, born under a broken moon, marked by ancient forces that demanded sacrifice in return for rule. Lucian did not deny any of it. He had built his throne with bloodless mercy when possible, and ruthless judgment when needed. Love had never been part of the design. Love made kings weak. Love made men careless. That was why Elara had been sent away, or so he told himself. Tonight, Lucian walked the lower district in a dark cloak, his crown left behind. He often did this when the palace walls felt too tight, when memories pressed harder than duty. The guards hated it. The council feared it. But Lucian needed to see the kingdom he ruled, not from a balcony but from the ground. The market square was quiet, almost gentle. Merchants packed their stalls. The air smelled of bread and rain. Magic hummed softly under the stones, old and restless. Then he saw her. At first his mind refused to understand. His steps slowed, then stopped completely. Across the square, beneath a hanging lantern, stood a woman with her head lowered, handing a bundle of herbs to an old man. Her hair was darker than he remembered, pulled back simply. Her clothes were plain. She looked thinner, stronger in a quiet way. And she was heavily pregnant. Lucian's breath caught painfully in his chest. Elara. The name echoed inside him like a broken oath. She turned slightly and the lantern light touched her face. There was no doubt, the same eyes. The same calm sadness that once looked at him without fear, even when the world bowed. His hand tightened at his side. Impossible. She had been gone for nearly a year. Banished for her own safety, he had told the court. The truth was uglier. He had pushed her away because the throne demanded it, because the old prophecy said love would undo him, because kings were not allowed to choose happiness. Elara lifted her gaze. Their eyes met. The world seemed to pause. Lucian felt it instantly, the burn beneath his skin, the ancient mark on his palm awakening. The curse reacted to her presence as if recognizing something it had been waiting for. Elara froze, her face drained of color. One hand moved to her stomach, protective, instinctive. Her lips parted as if to speak, but no sound came. Lucian remembered then, the silence binding. To protect herself, Elara had accepted a spell that stole her voice whenever she stood near him. A cruel safety, a shield made of loss. Slowly, carefully, Lucian stepped forward. "Elara," he said quietly. She flinched. Her eyes filled, but she did not look away. She shook her head once, a small warning. Do not speak. Do not come closer. Too late. The magic beneath the stones trembled. The child inside her moved sharply, and Elara gasped, bending slightly as if struck by invisible force. Lucian reached her just as she lost balance. He caught her arm, not rough, not claiming, just steady. The moment he touched her, pain shot through his hand. The mark on his palm flared red, then gold. Around them the lanterns flickered. Elara pulled back, fear and something deeper battling in her eyes. Lucian let go immediately. "I won't hurt you," he said, voice low. "I swear it." She studied him as if searching for lies. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small slate. With careful fingers she wrote a single line and turned it toward him. "You were not meant to find me." His chest tightened. "I didn't know," he said, "about the child." Her hand trembled as she wrote again. "You chose the throne." The words cut deeper than any blade. Lucian looked at her stomach, round and undeniable. 7 months at least. 7 months of pain, fear, and courage lived without him. "Is it?" His voice faltered. "Is it mine?" Elara did not write. She placed both hands over her belly and met his gaze. That was answer enough. Lucian staggered back a step, as if the ground had shifted. The curse had told him heirs were impossible, that his bloodline ended with him, that love would destroy the kingdom. And yet here stood proof that fate had lied, or worse. A shadow moved at the edge of the square. Lucian felt it instantly, eyes watching, magic listening. The kingdom sensed the change. Curses always did. "Alara," he said urgently, "you are not safe here." She lifted the slate again. "I have been safe without you." Pain flickered across his face. Before he could respond, a deep bell rang from the citadel, a warning bell, only used when ancient forces stirred. The prophecy had awakened. High above, unseen by either of them, old symbols burned to life in the palace walls. Words spoken centuries ago stirred once more. The hidden heir shall rise from silence. The king shall choose. She clutched her stomach as a warm glow spread beneath her skin. Not pain, power. Lucian saw the light. Fear touched him for the first time in years, not fear for himself, fear for her, fear for the child. Guards shouted in the distance. Magic surged. Fate, long patient, had finally reached out its hand. Lucian stepped back, lowering his head slightly, not as a king, but as a man. "I will not take anything from you," he said, "but I will protect you, both of you, even if it costs me the throne." Alara stared at him, torn between memory and truth. Then she turned and disappeared into the narrow streets, swallowed by shadow and lantern light. Lucian did not follow. He stood alone as the night closed in, his hand burning, his heart breaking open. For the first time since taking the crown, the King of Ash understood the true danger was not losing power. It was discovering something worth surrendering it for. And far beneath the city, the ancient curse smiled. By morning, rumors moved faster than the wind. The warning bell had not been heard in generations, yet everyone felt its echo. The streets whispered of old magic stirring, of the throne being watched by forces that never slept. King Lucian Vale stood alone in the Black Citadel, staring at his burning palm. The mark would not fade. It pulsed like a living thing, reminding him of the truth he had tried to bury. The curse was awake, and it had recognized something precious. An heir. Lucian closed his fist. For years, the council had assured him that his bloodline was broken, that the throne demanded sacrifice instead of legacy. It was the reason he had ruled without softness, the reason he had sent Alara away, and now fate had mocked him. "She lives," whispered the high mage kneeling before him, "and the child lives. The ancient seals confirm it." Lucian said nothing. The council chamber filled with tension. Lords exchanged sharp glances. Old women of magic leaned on their staffs, eyes glowing faintly. "The prophecy cannot be ignored," one of them said. "The child is bound to the throne." Lucian's voice was calm but deadly. "The child is not a thing to be bound." A heavy silence followed. "The curse feeds on royal blood," another replied carefully. "If the heir is hidden, the kingdom weakens. If claimed, the realm survives." Lucian turned away. He knew what they were truly saying. Take the child, control the child, use the child. "No," he said, "there will be no chains." Murmurs rose, disapproval, fear. Lucian dismissed them with a single gesture. When the doors closed, he allowed himself to breathe. Alara. Where had she gone? Alara walked until her legs ached and her breath came short. Narrow streets twisted like old scars, leading her away from the market and deeper into the forgotten parts of the city. She did not look back. Her heart pounded not with fear, but with memory. Lucian's face, older, harder, yet still carrying the weight of the man she once loved. The way his voice broke when he saw the child. The way he did not touch her again after she pulled away. That hurt the most. She entered the house of veiled mercy just before dawn. The stone building stood quiet, hidden between abandoned towers. It was a place for the unseen, the cursed, and the forgotten. Here no one asked questions. Sister Malin met her at the door, eyes sharp with concern. "The bell rang," she said softly. "Did he find you?" Alara nodded. She sat slowly, resting her hands over her stomach. The child was restless now, reacting to the magic still lingering in her blood. Sister Malin pressed a warm cloth into her hands. "You should have left the city." Alara picked up her slate and wrote carefully, "Running will not save us." Malin sighed. "Then you must be ready." Alara looked down. Ready for what? She remembered the night she left the citadel. The rain. Lucian standing tall and cold, telling her it was for the best, telling her the throne could not protect her. He had not known she was already carrying life. She had not told him. That silence was her greatest regret and her greatest shield. By nightfall, Lucian moved through the city again, unseen but aware of every shift in the air. Guards searched the districts, not by his order but by the council's fear. He stopped them. "No harm comes to her," he warned, "or I will tear this kingdom apart myself." Fear kept them obedient. At last he found the house of veiled mercy. He did not enter. He stood across the street, watching the windows glow softly. He felt the child's presence like a distant flame, steady and strong. Alive, safe, for now. Memories came unbidden. Alara laughing quietly in the palace garden. Alara standing before the throne, unafraid. Alara walking away without looking back. "I chose wrong," he whispered to the dark. Behind him a voice answered. "You chose as kings always do." Lucian turned sharply. One of the ancient queens stood there, half shadow, half light. Her crown was bone and gold, her eyes empty of mercy. "The child must be claimed," she said, "or the curse will claim you all." Lucian's jaw tightened. "I will not repeat your mistakes." The queen smiled slowly. "You already have." She vanished, leaving cold behind. Lucian clenched his fists. The choice was no longer his alone. That night Alara woke screaming. Magic tore through the house of veiled mercy. Candles shattered, stones cracked. The child's power surged uncontrolled. Alara fell to her knees, breath shaking. Sister Malin rushed to her side. "The bond is forming," she said urgently. "The throne is calling the child." Alara's eyes filled with terror. She grabbed the slate and wrote in trembling strokes, "I will not let them take my child." Malin hesitated. "There is only one way to stop it." Alara looked up. "The king must break the curse," Malin continued. "And that requires surrender." Alara's heart twisted. Lucian giving up the throne? Impossible, or so she had once believed. Across the city, Lucian felt it, the surge wild and dangerous. He knew instantly she was in pain. Without hesitation, he ran. By the time he reached the house, the walls were cracked and glowing with runes. Guards lay unconscious outside. He pushed inside. Alara looked up at him, tears on her face, power burning beneath her skin. The silent spell held her voice hostage. Lucian crossed the room slowly and knelt before her. "Not as king, as man. I am here," he said. "I will not leave again." Alara searched his face. Could she believe him? The child kicked sharply, magic flaring. The curse tightened its grip. And above them, unseen, the throne waited to be fed. Dark clouds gathered above Vierlo, thick and heavy, as if the sky itself was holding its breath. The black citadel pulsed with old magic, reacting to something it had not felt in centuries: hope and fear. King Lucian Vale remained kneeling before Alara, the broken stones around them glowing faintly. The house of veiled mercy trembled, its ancient walls struggling to hold against the surge of power coming from the unborn child. Alara's breath came in short gasps. Her hands shook as she pressed them against her stomach. The silent spell still held her voice, trapping every cry inside her chest. Lucian looked at her and felt something inside him crack. All his life, he had believed strength meant control. That ruling meant standing above pain, untouched by it. But kneeling there, watching the woman he loved suffer because of his throne, he understood the truth too late. Power without mercy was only another curse. "I will stop this," he said softly. "I swear it." Alara met his gaze. Her eyes held fear, anger, love, and exhaustion all at once. Slowly she reached for the slate and wrote with trembling fingers, "They will never allow it." Lucian nodded. "Then they will have to face me." At dawn, the council gathered. The chamber was filled with nobles, mages, and ancient guardians bound to the throne by old oaths. Whispers echoed like insects trapped in stone. Lucian entered without his crown. The sight alone caused unrest. "You stand before us incomplete," one lord said sharply. Lucian's voice was calm. "I stand before you honest." The high mage stepped forward. "The child's power is rising. The curse grows unstable. If the heir is not bound to the throne at birth, the kingdom will fall." Lucian's eyes darkened. "The kingdom will fall if we continue feeding it innocent lives." Gasps spread through the chamber. "You would risk everything," another shouted, "for one woman and one child." Lucian did not hesitate. "Yes." Silence followed, then laughter cold and sharp. "You forget," said an ancient queen, her voice like ice. "This throne was built on sacrifice. You cannot rule without paying its price." Lucian looked directly at her. "Then I will end the price." The queen's smile faded. "That would require you to surrender your power," she warned. "Your authority, your protection." Lucian took a slow breath. For years he had believed the crown defined him. Without it he would be nothing. Now he saw the lie. "If my power destroys what I love," he said, "then it was never worth keeping." The chamber erupted. Guards moved. Magic flared. And in that moment betrayal showed its face. A blade flashed from the shadows. The attack came without warning. One of the council members struck, aiming not for Lucian's heart but his spine, to cripple him, to keep the throne obedient. Lucian turned just in time. The blade pierced his side instead. Pain exploded through him, sharp and blinding. Blood stained his dark robes. He staggered but did not fall. The room froze. The curse reacted instantly. The mark on Lucian's palm burned white-hot, and a shockwave of magic tore through the chamber, throwing nobles and guards alike to the floor. Lucian dropped to one knee, breathing hard. "Enough," he said, voice rough but unbroken. "I have bled for this throne. I will not bleed my family for it." The ancient queens recoiled. "This changes nothing," one hissed. "The child will be claimed." Lucian forced himself to stand. "Touch them," he said quietly, "and I will destroy everything you built." For the first time the council hesitated. They saw it then, not a tyrant, not a ruler, but a man with nothing left to lose. Lucian turned and left the chamber, blood trailing behind him. Alara felt it immediately. The moment Lucian was wounded, pain surged through her chest, not from magic but from something deeper. The bond between them, long denied, flared to life. She cried out silently as the child's power surged again, brighter and stronger. Sister Malin grabbed her shoulders. "The curse is breaking," she said urgently, "but breaking it fully will tear the throne apart." Alara grabbed the slate, tears blurring her vision. "Will he survive?" Malin hesitated. "Only if you believe he can." Alara's heart twisted. She had survived without Lucian. She had learned to be strong alone, but she did not want to be alone anymore. Lucian returned to the house of veiled mercy just before nightfall. He was pale, his steps unsteady, blood still staining his side. Guards lay unconscious outside again, this time by his command. Alara saw him and rushed forward without thinking. She caught him as he nearly collapsed. For a moment, the world narrowed to the two of them. Lucian leaned into her support, surprised by her strength. "I'm sorry," he whispered, "for everything." Alara shook her head fiercely, tears falling freely now. She pressed her forehead against his, no words needed. The silent spell cracked, just a little. Her voice emerged, broken but real. "Stay." The single word shattered Lucian. "I will," he said immediately, "even if it costs me the crown." The ground shook. Far away in the black citadel the throne screamed. The curse was unraveling. That night Lucian stood before the ancient altar beneath the city, a place where kings once bound themselves to the throne. Alara stood beside him, one hand gripping his tightly, the other resting over her stomach. The ancient queens watched from the shadows. "To break the curse," the high mage warned, "you must give up your claim, no king, no protection, no power." Lucian looked at Alara, at the child. "I choose them," he said. He placed his hand on the altar. The mark burned, then shattered like glass. Magic exploded upward, tearing through stone and sky. The crown in the citadel cracked, its gems falling like tears. Lucian cried out, not in pain but release. The throne was losing its hold, but curses never died quietly. A final surge of dark magic rushed toward Alara. Lucian moved without thinking. He stepped in front of her. The force struck him full on. Alara screamed his name. Light and darkness collided. And when the dust settled, Lucian lay still. Not the heavy silence of fear, but a deep stillness, as if the world itself had stopped to listen. Dust settled slowly in the ancient chamber beneath Vierlo. Broken stone lay scattered like fallen memories. The altar had cracked in half, its old symbols fading into nothing. Alara knelt on the cold ground, holding Lucian's head in her arms. He did not move. His skin was pale. His breathing was so faint she could barely feel it. The magic that once wrapped around him like armor was gone, burned away with the curse. Alara! The whisper came from Sister Malin, standing nearby, tears shining in her eyes. The curse is broken. Alara did not answer. Her hands trembled as she pressed them against Lucian's chest. She had spent months preparing to raise her child alone. She had trained herself not to hope, not to depend. But now hope refused to leave her. "Please," she whispered, her voice no longer bound. "You promised." Nothing happened. Above them, the city shook as the black citadel cracked open. The ancient throne shattered completely, its power dissolving into light that spread across the sky like dawn after a long night. The ancient queens screamed as they faded, their forms breaking apart like smoke. Their age had ended. The curse was gone, but Lucian still lay still. Alara stayed there through the night. She did not know how much time passed. Hours, perhaps more. The chamber grew quiet, peaceful, almost warm. Her child moved gently inside her, calm now, no longer burning with wild magic. "Alara," Sister Malin said softly, "you must rest." Alara shook her head. She placed Lucian's hand over her stomach. "He chose us," she said quietly. "He deserves to stay." Tears fell onto Lucian's still face. Then he breathed, just once. Alara froze. Slowly, carefully, Lucian's chest rose again. Color returned faintly to his skin. His fingers twitched. "Alara," he murmured. She laughed and cried at the same time, holding him closer. "I am here," she said. "I'm not leaving." Lucian opened his eyes. For the first time they were free of darkness. No glow of magic, no weight of crowns, just a man, tired but alive. "I thought," he whispered, "I lost you." She shook her head. "You found us." The days that followed felt unreal. Without the curse, the city changed. The sky grew clearer. Old walls crumbled, revealing hidden gardens beneath. People stepped into the streets with cautious hope. The council fell apart. Those who clung to fear lost their power. The guards laid down their weapons, unsure of who they served now. Lucian recovered slowly. Without magic, his wounds healed like any other man's. Alara stayed beside him, helping him walk, reminding him to rest. "You are not king anymore," she told him one morning. Lucian smiled faintly. "Good." Word spread quickly. The king of Ash had surrendered his crown. Some feared chaos, others feared weakness, but something unexpected happened. The people chose peace. Without the throne demanding blood, the city learned to breathe on its own. Lucian and Alara moved to a quiet home near the old river, far from the citadel. It was small, simple, and filled with light. For the first time in his life, Lucian woke without weight on his chest. The child was born at sunrise. No storms followed. No magic tore the sky, only light. Alara held her child close, tears falling freely as the baby cried strong and clear. Lucian stood beside her, shaking, afraid to breathe too loudly. "She's perfect," Alara whispered. Lucian reached out carefully, holding his child for the first time. No curse reacted. No prophecy spoke. Nothing demanded sacrifice. The child slept peacefully in his arms. In that moment, Lucian understood what true power was. Not control, not fear, but love freely given. Years later, the city remembered the old throne only as a story. Children played where the citadel once stood. Gardens grew over broken stone. Laws were written by councils chosen by the people, not by blood or magic. Lucian became a quiet protector, guiding when asked, stepping back when not. Ilara helped heal those still marked by old curses. Their child grew laughing and kind, untouched by prophecy. Sometimes at night, Lucian would stand by the river and watch the city lights reflect on the water. "I almost lost everything," he said once. Ilara stood beside him, resting her head on his shoulder. "You almost lost yourself," she replied. He nodded. "Thank you for bringing me back," she smiled. "You did that on your own." Above them, the stars shone steady and calm. The world had changed, not because a king ruled it, but because one man chose mercy over power. And that choice echoed longer than any curse ever could.